Literacy in India is a key for socio-economic progress, and the Indian literacy rate has grown to 74.04% from 12% at the end of British rule in 1947. Although this was a greater than sixfold improvement, the level is well below the world average literacy rate of 84%, and of all nations, India currently has the largest illiterate population. Despite government programs, India's literacy rate increased only sluggishly, and a 1990 study estimated that it would take until 2060 for India to achieve universal literacy at then current rate of progress. The 2011 census, however, indicated a 2001 to Euro 2011 decadal literacy growth of 9.2%, which is slower than the growth seen during the previous decade. There is a wide gender disparity in the literacy rate in India. Effective literacy rates in 2011 were 82.14% for men and 65.46% for women. The low female literacy rate has had a dramatically negative impact on family planning and population stabilisation efforts in India. Studies have indicated that female literacy is a strong predictor of the use of contraception among married Indian couples, even when women do not otherwise have economic independence. The census provided a positive indication that growth in female literacy rates was substantially faster than in male literacy rates in the 2001 to Euro 2011 decadal period, which means the gender gap appears to be narrowing. Comparative literacy statistics. The table below shows the adult and youth literacy rates for India and some neighbouring countries in 2002. Adult literacy rate is based on the 15+ years age group, while youth literacy rate is for the 15 to Euro 24 years age group. Reasons for low literacy rate. One of the main factors contributing to this relatively low literacy rate is the lack of proper school facilities as well as the sheer inefficiency of teaching staff across the government-run education sector. There is a shortage of classrooms to accommodate all the students in 2006 to Euro 2007. In addition, there is no proper sanitation in most schools. The study of 188 government-run primary schools in central and northern India revealed that 59% of the schools had no drinking water facility and 89% no toilets. In 600,000 villages and multiplying urban slum habitats, free and compulsory education is the basic literacy instruction dispensed by barely qualified para-teachers. The average pupil-teacher ratio for all India is 1:42, implying teacher shortage. Such inadequacies resulted in a non-standardized school system where literacy rates may differ. Furthermore, the expenditure allocated to education was never above 4.3% of the GDP from 1951 to 2002 despite the target of 6% by the Kathari Commission. This further complicates the literacy problem in India. Severe caste disparities also exist. Discrimination of lower castes has resulted in high dropout rates and low enrollment rates. The National Sample Survey Organisation and the National Family Health Survey collected data in India on the percentage of children completing primary school, which are reported to be only 36.8% and 37.7% respectively. On February 21, 2005, the Prime Minister of India said that he was pained to note that only 47 out of 100 children enrolled in Class I reach Class 8, putting the dropout rate at 52.78%. It is estimated that at least 35 million, and possibly as many as 60 million, children aged 6 to 14 years are not in school. Absolute poverty in India has also deterred the pursuit of formal education, as education is not deemed of as the highest priority among the poor as compared to other basic necessities. The MRP-based poverty estimates of about 22% of poverty in 2004 €05, which translated to 22 out of per 100 people are not meeting their basic needs, much less than meeting the need for education. The large proportion of illiterate females is another reason for the low literacy rate in India. Inequality based on gender differences resulted in female literacy rates being lower at 65.46% than that of their male counterparts at 82.14%. Due to strong stereotyping of female and male roles, sons are thought of to be more useful and hence are educated. Females are pulled to help out on agricultural farms at home as they are increasingly replacing the males on such activities which require no formal education. Fewer than 2% of girls who engaged in agriculture work attended school. Growth of literacy, the British period. Prior to the British era, education in India commenced under the supervision of a guru in traditional schools called Gurukuls. The Gurukuls were supported by public donation and were one of the earliest forms of public school offices. However, these Gurukuls catered only to the upper castes of the Indian society, and the overwhelming masses were denied any formal education. In the colonial era, the Gurukul system began to decline as the system promoted by the British began to gradually take over. Between 1881 €82 and 1946 €47, the number of English primary schools grew from 82,916 to 134,866, and the number of students in English schools grew from 2,061,541 to 10,525,943. Literacy rates in accordance to British in India rose from 3.2% in 1881 to 7.2% in 1931 and 12.2% in 1947. In 2001, there were 60,840 pre-primary and pre-basic schools, and 664,041 primary and junior basic schools. Total enrollment at the primary level has increased from 19,200,000 in 1950 €51 to 109,800,000 in 2001 €02. The number of high schools in 2000 €01 was higher than the number of primary schools at the time of independence. In 1944, the government of British India presented a plan, called the Sargent Scheme for the Educational Reconstruction of India, with a goal of producing 100% literacy in the country within 40 years, that is by 1984. Although the 40-year time frame was derided at the time by leaders of the Indian independence movement as being too long a period to achieve universal literacy, India had only just crossed the 74% level by the 2011 census. Post-independence, the provision of universal and compulsory education for all children in the age group of 6 €14 was a cherished national ideal and had been given overriding priority by incorporating as a directive policy in Article 45 of the Constitution, but it is still to be achieved more than half a century since the Constitution was adopted in 1949. Parliament has passed the Constitution 86th Amendment Act, 2002, to make elementary education a fundamental right for children in the age group of 6 €14 years. In order to provide more funds for education, an education cess of 2% has been imposed on all direct and indirect central taxes through the Finance Act, 2004. The literacy rate grew from 18.33% in 1951, to 28.30% in 1961, 34.45% in 1971, 43.57% in 1981, 52.21% in 1991, 64.84% in 2001 and 74.04% in 2011. During the same period, the population grew from 361 million to 1,210 million. Literacy rate variations between states. Kerala is the most literate state in India, with 93.91% literacy, followed by Lakshadweep at 92.28%. Bihar is the least literate state in India, with a literacy of 63.82%. Several other social indicators of the two states are correlated with these rates, such as life expectancy at birth, infant mortality per 1,000 live births, birth rate per 1,000 people and death rate per 1,000 people. Every census since 1881 had indicated rising literacy in the country, but the population growth rate had been high enough that the absolute number of illiterates rose with every decade. The 2001-2011 decade is the second census period when the absolute number of Indian illiterates declined, indicating that the literacy growth rate is now outstripping the population growth rate. Bihar is the only remaining Indian state in the 2011 census where less than 65% of the population was literate. It is also only one of 2 states where less than 75% of the male population was literate and only one of 2 states where less than 55% of the female population was literate. 6 Indian states account for about 70% of all illiterates in India: Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Andhra Pradesh and West Bengal. Slightly less than half of all Indian illiterates are in the 6 Hindi-speaking states of Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh. Large variations in literacy exist even between contiguous states. While there are few states at the top and bottom, most states are just above or below the national average. Learnings from state literacy efforts in India. Several states in India have executed successful programs to boost literacy rates. Over time, a set of factors have emerged as being key to success: official will to succeed, deliberate steps to engage the community in administering the program, adequate funding for infrastructure and teachers, and provisioning additional services which are considered valuable by the community. Bihar literacy challenges. Bihar has significantly raised the literacy rate as per the 2011 census. The literacy rate has risen from 39% in 1991 to 47% in 2001 to 63.8% in 2011. The government of Bihar has launched several programs to boost literacy, and its Department of Adult Education even won a UNESCO award in 1981. Extensive impoverishment, entrenched hierarchical social divisions and the lack of correlation between educational attainment and job opportunities are often cited in studies of the hurdles literacy programs face in Bihar. Children from lower castes are frequently denied school attendance and harassed when they do attend. In areas where there is no discrimination, poor funding and impoverished families means that children often cannot afford textbooks and stationery. When children do get educated, the general lack of economic progress in the state means that government jobs are the only alternative to farm labor, yet these jobs, in practice, require bribes to secure a euro, which poorer families cannot afford. This leads to educated youths working on the farms, much as uneducated ones do, and leads parents to question the investment of sending children to school in the first place. Bihar's government schools have also faced teacher absenteeism, leading the state government to threaten withholding of salaries of teachers who fail to conduct classes on a regular basis. To incentivize students to attend, the government announced a Rupee 1 per school day grant to poor children who show up at school. Kerala literacy successes. Kerala has the highest literacy rate among the states of India, followed by the state of Mizoram. Kerala topped the Education Development Index among 21 major states in India in year 2006 Euro 2007. 143, more than 94% of the rural population has access to primary school within 1 km, while 98% of population benefits one school within a distance of 2 km. An upper primary school within a distance of 3 km is available for more than 96% of the people, whose 98% benefit the facility for secondary education within 8 km. The access for rural students to higher educational institutions in cities is facilitated by widely subsidized transport fares. Kerala's educational system has been developed by institutions owned or aided by the government. In the educational system prevailed in the state, schooling is for 10 years, which is subdivided into lower primary, upper primary and high school. After 10 years of secondary schooling, students typically enroll in higher secondary schooling in one of the 3 major streams: liberal arts, commerce or science. Upon completing the required coursework, students can enroll in general or professional undergraduate programs. Kerala undertook a campaign for total literacy in Ernakulam district in the late 1980s, with a fusion between the district administration headed by its collector on one side and, on the other side, voluntary groups, social activists and others. On February 4, 1990, the government of Kerala then replicated the initiative on a statewide level, launching the Kerala State Literacy Campaign. First, households were surveyed with door-to-door, multi-stage survey visits to form an accurate picture of the literacy landscape and areas that needed special focus. Then, Kalajathas and Zaksharata Padayatras were organized to generate awareness of the campaign and create a receptive social atmosphere for the program. An integrated management system was created involving state officials, prominent social figures, local officials and senior voluntary workers to oversee the execution of the campaign. Himachal Pradesh literacy successes. Himachal Pradesh underwent a schooling revolution in the 1961–2001 period that has been called even more impressive than Kerala's. Kerala has led the nation in literacy rate since the 19th century and seen sustained initiatives for over 150 years, whereas Himachal Pradesh's literacy rates in 1961 were below the national average in every age group. In the decadal 1961–1991 period, female literacy in the 15–19 years age group went from 11% to 86%. School attendance for both boys and girls in the 6–14 year age group stood at over 97% each when measured in the 1998–99 school year. A key factor that has been credited for these advances is Himachal's cultural background. Himachal Pradesh is a Himalayan state with lower social stratification than many other states, which enables social programs to be carried out more smoothly. Once the government of Himachal Pradesh was able to establish a social norm that schooling is an essential part of every child's upbringing, literacy as a normal attribute of life was adopted very rapidly. Government efforts in expanding schools and providing teachers were sustained after the 1960s and communities often responded very collaboratively, including with constructing schoolrooms and providing firewood essential during the Himalayan winters. Mizoram literacy successes. Mizoram is the second most literate state in all of India, second only to Kerala, with Sirchip and Aizawl districts being the two most literate districts in India. Both in Mizoram. Mizoram's literacy rate rose rapidly after independence, from 31.14% in 1951 to 88.80% in 2001. As in Himachal Pradesh, Mizoram has a social structure that is relatively free of hierarchy and strong official intent to produce total literacy. The government identified illiterates and organized an administrative structure that engaged officials and community leaders, and manned by animators, who were responsible for teaching 5 illiterates each. Mizoram established 360 continuing education centers to handle continued education beyond the initial literacy teaching and to provide an educational safety net for school dropouts. Tamilnadu literacy successes. One of the pioneers of the scheme is the Madras that started providing cooked meals to children in corporation schools in the Madras city in 1923. The program was introduced on a large scale in 1960s under the chief ministership of K. Kamaraj. The first major thrust came in 1982 when Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, Dr. M. G. Ramachandran, decided to universalize the scheme for all children up to Class 10. Tamil Nadu's midday meal program is among the best known in the country. Starting in 1982, Tamil Nadu took an approach to promoting literacy based on free lunches for schoolchildren, ignoring cynics who said it was an electoral gimmick and economists who said it made little fiscal sense. The then Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, MGR, launched the program, which resembled a similar initiative in 19th-century Japan, because he had experienced as a child what it was like to go hungry to school with the family having no money to buy food. Eventually, the program covered all children under the age of 15, as well as pregnant women for the first 4 months of their pregnancy. Tamil Nadu's literacy rate rose from 54.4% in 1981 to 80.3% in 2011. In 2001, the Supreme Court of India instructed all state governments to implement free school lunches in all government-funded schools, but implementation has been patchy due to corruption and social issues. Despite these hurdles, 120 million receive free lunches in Indian schools every day, making it the largest school meal program in the world. Rajasthan literacy successes. Although the decadal rise from 2001–11 was only 7%, Rajasthan had the biggest percentage decadal increase in literacy of all Indian states, from about 38% to about 61%, a leapfrog that has been termed spectacular by some observers. Aggressive state government action, in the form of the district primary education program, the Shiksha initiative and the Lok Jumish program, are credited with the rapid improvement. Virtually every village in Rajasthan now has primary school coverage. When statehood was granted to Rajasthan in 1956, it was the least literate state in India with a literacy rate of 18%. Social commentary: apart from above, the corporate sector in India has pitched in with the aim of improving literacy, primarily in villages around their factories. For example, JK Group has helped so far 29,000 plus citizens of India, mostly village women, to move towards literacy Euro, which means being able to sign their name/read signboards and handle money in local languages in 8 different states. Tata Group claims to have added 175,000 literates using their computer-based functional literacy method. Literacy efforts: the right to education is a fundamental right, and UNESCO aims at education for all by 2015. India, along with the Arab states and sub-Saharan Africa, has a literacy level below the threshold level of 75%, but efforts are on to achieve that level. The campaign to achieve at least the threshold literacy level represents the largest ever civil and military mobilization in the country. International Literacy Day is celebrated each year on September 8 with the aim to highlight the importance of literacy to individuals, communities and societies. Government schemes: National Literacy Mission. The National Literacy Mission, launched in 2000, aimed at attaining a literacy rate of 41% by 2035. It imparts functional literacy to non-literates in the age group of 35–75 years. The Total Literacy Campaign is the principal strategy of the NLM for eradication of illiteracy. The Continuing Education Scheme provides a learning continuum to the efforts of the total literacy and post-literacy programs. The Census 2013 provisional reports indicate that India has made significant progress in the field of literacy during the decade since the previous census in 1991. The literacy rate in 2001 has been recorded at 64.84% as against 52.21% in 1991. The 12.63 percentage points increase in the literacy rate during the period is the highest increase in any decade. Also, for the first time, there is a decline in the absolute number of non-literates during the past 10 years. The total number of non-literates has come down from 328 million in 1991 to 304 million in 2001. During 1991 to 2000, the population in 7+ age group increased by 176 million, while 201 million additional persons became literate during that period. Out of 864 million people above the age of 7 years, 560 million are now literates. 3/4 of our male population and more than half of the female population are literate. This indeed is an encouraging indicator for us to speed up our march towards the goal of achieving a sustainable threshold literacy rate of 75% by 2007. The Census 2001 provisional figures also indicate that the efforts of the nation during the past decade to remove the scourge of illiteracy have not gone in vain. The eradication of illiteracy from a vast country like India beset by several social and economic hurdles is not an easy task. Realizing this, the National Literacy Mission was set up on May 5, 1988 to impart a new sense of urgency and seriousness to adult education. After the success of the area's specific, time-bound, voluntary-based campaign approach first in Kottayam city and then in Ernakulam district in Kerala in 1990, the National Literacy Mission had accepted the literacy campaigns as the dominant strategy for eradication of illiteracy. Out of 600 districts in the country, 597 districts have already been covered under total literacy campaigns. The number of continuing education districts is 328. The creditable performance of the National Literacy Mission received international recognition when it was awarded the UNESCO Norma Literacy Prize for 1999. The international jury, while selecting NLM for the prize, recognized its initiation of the total literacy campaigns and also its efforts in galvanizing activities towards integration, conservation of the environment, promotion of women's equality, and the preservation of family customs and traditions. The jury also appreciated the training imparted by NLM, the teaching learning material produced by it and the awareness created by it for the demand for raising both the quality and quantity of primary education. The Bureau of Adult Education and National Literacy Mission under the Department of School Education and Literacy of the Ministry of Human Resource Development functions as the Secretariat of the National Literacy Mission Authority. The General Council of the NLMA is headed by the Minister of Human Resource Development and the Executive Council is headed by the Secretary. The Directorate of Adult Education provides necessary technical and resource support to the NLMA. The National Literacy Mission was revitalized with the approval of the Union Government on September 30, 1999. The mission's goal is to attain total literacy that is a sustainable threshold literacy rate of 75% by 2007. The mission seeks to achieve this by imparting functional literacy to non-literates in the 15 to 35 age group. To tackle the problem of residual illiteracy, now it has been decided to adopt an integrated approach to total literacy campaigns and post-literacy program. This means the basic literacy campaigns and post-literacy programs will be implemented under one literacy project called Literacy Campaigns and Operation Restoration to achieve continuity, efficiency and convergence and to minimize unnecessary time lag between the two. Post-literacy programs are treated only as a preparatory phase for launching continuing education with the ultimate aim of creating a learning society. In order to promote decentralization, the state literacy mission authorities have been given the authority to sanction continuing education projects to districts and literacy-related projects to voluntary agencies in their states. The scheme of Jan Shiksha Sansthan or Institute of People's Education, previously known as the scheme of Shramik Vidyapith, was initially evolved as a non-formal continuing education program to respond to the educational and vocational training needs of adults and young people living in urban and industrial areas and for persons who had migrated from rural to urban settings. Now the institute's activities have been enlarged and infrastructure strengthened to enable them to function as district-level repositories of vocational and technical skills in both urban and rural areas. At present there are 221 Jan Shiksha Sansthans in the India. Ever since its inception, the National Literacy Mission has taken measures to strengthen its partnership with NGOs and to evolve both institutional and informal mechanisms to give voluntary organizations active promotional role in the literacy movement. Now under the scheme of support to NGOs, they are encouraged and provided with financial assistance to run post-literacy and continuing education programs in well-defined areas. In order to revitalize, re-energize and expand the role of state resource centers, not only their number is being increased but also their infrastructure and resource facilities are being strengthened to enable them to play the role of catalytic agents in adult education. There are 25 state resource centers working across the country. They are mainly responsible for organizing training programs for literacy functionaries in the state and to prepare literacy material in local languages. The Directorate of Adult Education, a subordinate office of the Department of School Education and Literacy, has been entrusted with the task of monitoring and evaluating the various literacy programs being launched under the aegis of the National Literacy Mission. It also provides technical and resource support to the NLM, including media support to enable it to achieve its objectives. The National Literacy Mission is laying great stress on vigorous monitoring and systematic evaluation of adult education programs launched under its aegis in the country. It has developed and circulated guidelines for concurrent and final evaluation of the total literacy campaigns and post-literacy programs. A comprehensive set of guidelines on continuing education have also been prepared. So far about 424 total literacy campaign districts and 176 post-literacy districts have been evaluated by the external evaluation agencies. So far 32 districts have been externally evaluated during continuing education phase. It is hoped that the new approach of evaluating literacy campaigns and continuing education schemes will ensure complete transparency and enhance the credibility of the results and impact assessments. Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan. The Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan was launched in 2001 to ensure that all children in the 6-14-year age group attend school and complete 8 years of schooling by 2010. An important component of the scheme is the Education Guarantee Scheme and Alternative and Innovative Education, meant primarily for children in areas with no formal school within a 1-kilometer radius. The centrally sponsored District Primary Education Program, launched in 1994, had opened more than 160,000 new schools by 2005, including almost 84,000 alternative schools. Non-governmental efforts. The bulk of Indian illiterates live in the country's rural areas, where social and economic barriers play an important role in keeping the lowest strata of society illiterate. Government programs alone, however well-intentioned, may not be able to dismantle barriers built over centuries. Major social reformation efforts are sometimes required to bring about a change in the rural scenario. Several non-governmental organizations such as Pratham, ITC, Rotary Club, Lions Club have worked to improve the literacy rate in India. Mamidapudi Venkateramaiah Foundation, Shantha Sinha won a Magsaysay Award in 2003 in recognition of her guiding the people of Andhra Pradesh to end the scourge of child labour and send all of their children to school. As head of an extension program at the University of Hyderabad in 1987, she organised a 3-month-long camp to prepare children rescued from bonded labour to attend school. Later, in 1991, she guided her family's Mamidapudi Venkateramaiah Foundation to take up this idea as part of its overriding mission in Andhra Pradesh. Her original transition camps grew into full-fledged residential bridge schools. The foundation's aim is to create a social climate hostile to child labour, child marriage and other practices that deny children the right to a normal childhood. Today the MV Foundation's bridge schools and programs extend to 4,300 villages. Definition of literacy. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization has drafted a definition of literacy as the ability to identify, understand, interpret, create, communicate, compute and use printed and written materials associated with varying contexts. Literacy involves a continuum of learning in enabling individuals to achieve their goals, to develop their knowledge and potential, and to participate fully in their community and wider society. The National Literacy Mission defines literacy as acquiring the skills of reading, writing and arithmetic and the ability to apply them to one's day-to-day life. The achievement of functional literacy implies self-reliance in 3 Rs, awareness of the causes of deprivation and the ability to move towards amelioration of their condition by participating in the process of development, acquiring skills to improve economic status and general well-being, and imbibing values such as national integration, conservation of environment, women's equality, observance of small family norms. The working definition of literacy in the Indian census since 1991 is as follows: literacy rate, the total percentage of the population of an area at a particular time aged 7 years or above who can read and write with understanding. Here the denominator is the population aged 7 years or more. Crude literacy rate, the total percentage of the people of an area at a particular time aged 7 years or above who can read and write with understanding, taking the total population of the area as the denominator. See also, Indian states ranking by literacy rate, literacy, education in India, Kerala model, speech on education in India by Keshab Chandra Sen delivered at London on May 24, 1870. Akal Vidyalaya, non-profit charity organisation dedicated to education and village development in rural India, Asha for Education, a non-profit organisation bringing hope through education, Pratham, an NGO with literacy programs, references. External links, National Literacy Mission, Indian Census, National Literacy Policies Euro-India, Need for Literacy in India, Growth of Literacy in India, Literacy in the Context of Constitution of India, find details about literacy in India, literacy as seen in the 2001 census, frontline article Education for Too Few, December 5, 2003, The Hindu article 2-word mantra, February 1, 2004. Times of India editorial Learn to Change, July 28, 2006, The Statesman editorial Institutionalize Subliteracy, August 22, 2006, Left Behind by Bangladesh The Telegraph report on October 2, 2005, Provisional population totals for Census 2011 March 31, 2011, India languishes in its villages, NSSO Survey, India Literacy Project, a catalyst for 100% literacy in India.